I had cancelled a trip I had been planning for 2 years. 2 years of saving. 2 years of saying no to dinners, new clothes, pleasures. 2 years of sacrifice. And I gave it all up for them. For executives who would not even stay seated for 10 minutes. I was standing in the conference room, my heart beating fast. And this is where we project a 38% increase in revenue, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The executives sat around the glass table. I thought they were listening to me. Then it happened. Chair. Scrape. Mr. Halvorsen stood up. He did not look at me. He adjusted his jacket and walked out. Then another. And another. One by one, they all stood and left without explanation. Without apology. I stood frozen, my hand gripping the clicker. Is everything okay? No one answered. The last person was James, my colleague. My partner on this project. He paused at the door, looked at me for 1 second, then gave me an uncomfortable smile and left too. The door closed. And I was alone. The silence was worse than any words. The projector hummed behind me. I stared at my slide. I had worked for months on this. Late nights. Early mornings. Weekends. All of it meant nothing. I had trusted James most of all. You have earned this, Amara, he said last week. The board needs to hear this from you. I believed him. I placed the clicker down. My hands were steady. Something inside was shifting. Rearranging. I found out the truth 2 hours later, and it was not from them. Of course it was not from them. I was packing my personal things into a box when my phone buzzed with a notification. It was from a group chat. A chat that I was not part of. But James had once used my laptop to log into his own account, and he never logged out. I do not know why I opened that group chat. Maybe it was my instinct. Maybe something deep inside me already knew something was very wrong. The group chat was called Board Strategy, Internal. My name was not there. But the messages about me were. I scrolled through and read every single word carefully. James had written, "She will handle the presentation. It keeps her busy." Mr. Halvorsen replied, "Good. We do not want her asking questions." Another executive added, "Once she presents, we move forward with the vote." James again, "She does not know about the acquisition yet." A pause. Then Mr. Halvorsen, "She does not need to." My chest tightened so hard I could barely breathe. Acquisition? What acquisition? I kept scrolling, my hands shaking. Another message appeared on the screen. After today, her division gets absorbed. Her role becomes redundant. Someone added a laughing emoji. That tiny yellow face felt louder than anything I had ever heard in my entire life. James replied, "She will figure it out eventually." And then the final message that changed everything, "By then, it will not matter." I did not cry. That is the part people always expect, but I did not cry. I just sat there, staring at my phone, reading those messages again and again until the words stopped feeling real. They used me. They had me present a strategy for a company they were already planning to destroy. My work. My team. Everything I had built was going to be erased. And they did not even have the basic respect to tell me to my face. Instead, they walked out. Like I was not worth their time. Like I was just a placeholder. Like I was nothing at all. I closed that chat slowly and carefully. Then I leaned back in my chair and stared at the white ceiling above me. And that is when the thought came to me. Clear. Sharp. Cold like ice. You never force your way into a room that intentionally locked you out, I whispered to myself. You quietly make sure you own the entire building. Here is what they did not know. 3 months before that terrible meeting in the conference room, I had received a phone call. A quiet one. Unexpected. From a lawyer I had never met before. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe they had the wrong person. But they did not. The lawyer was calling about my grandfather. A man I had not seen in many years because of family problems. He had passed away. And he left something behind. Not just money. Something much bigger. Something that would change my entire life forever. At the time, I did not tell anyone. Not James. Not my team. No one at all. Because I was not sure what it all meant yet. But after that day in the conference room, after reading those betraying messages, I finally understood exactly what it meant. 2 weeks passed. Then 4. Then 8 weeks. I did not fight them. I did not argue or demand explanations. When the HR department called me in for a meeting, I listened to everything they said. Calm. Composed. Professional. They used meaningless corporate words like restructuring and strategic alignment. I nodded and signed all the papers they put in front of me. I walked out with a severance package and an agreement not to tell anyone what happened. James tried to talk to me one time in the hallway outside my old office. Amara, I know this looks bad, he started to say. It does not look bad, I said very quietly. It is bad. He opened his mouth to say something but closed it again. Then he said, you will land on your feet. You are smart. You will be fine. I smiled at him. Of course I will, I said. Just not in the way you think. I moved on. At least, that is what everyone believed. I rented a smaller apartment. Simpler. Quieter. Much cheaper than my old place. I stopped posting on social media. Stopped responding to messages from people at my old company. Stopped posting photos or updates about my life. I let everyone think I was struggling. Rebuilding myself. Starting over from nothing. Broken and defeated. It made everything easier. Because no one looks for power in someone they have already dismissed and forgotten. No one watches the person they threw away. 3 months later, James called me. I almost did not answer, but I picked up. Amara, we need to talk, he said, and his voice was tight and worried. We? I asked him, knowing exactly who he meant. The board, he said quietly. I smiled, even though he could not see it through the phone. That is interesting, I said. They did not seem interested in talking before. This is different, he said. Is it? I asked, letting the question hang in the air between us. The acquisition fell through, he said. They pulled out last minute. Funding issues. Legal complications. I leaned back in my chair in my small quiet apartment. And? We need your strategy, he said, his voice becoming desperate and pleading. It is the only thing that can save us now. Please. I let the silence stretch between us on the phone. Long enough for him to feel the weight of it. Then I said, you walked out on me. It was a mistake, he said, but his voice was weak. No, I said very softly. It was not. The emails became more and more desperate after that call. Mr. Halvorsen reached out personally. That alone told me everything I needed to know about the situation. His email said only, we would like to invite you back for a discussion. A discussion. I almost laughed when I read those words. Instead, I replied with exactly one sentence. I am available tomorrow at 10 in the morning. The next morning, I walked into the same conference room that had been the site of my humiliation. Everything looked exactly the same. The glass walls. The cold air from the air conditioning unit. The long table. But the energy was completely different. This time, they were already seated before I even arrived. Waiting for me. Nervous. No one stood up. No one tried to leave. Not a single chair moved. I sat down very slowly and calmly. Composed. Powerful in a way I had never felt before. Mr. Halvorsen cleared his throat. Amara, Thank you for coming back, he said nervously. I simply nodded and took my seat across from him. We would like to discuss how we can move forward together, he said carefully, searching my face. I am listening, I told him calmly. James avoided my eyes completely. Good. That was exactly what I wanted. We are prepared to offer you your position back, someone said quickly, almost desperately. With a significant raise. A much bigger salary than before. I tilted my head slightly. That is generous, I said. And full control over your division, another board member added. You will have more power than ever before. Complete authority. I folded my hands very neatly on the cold glass table. I do not think you understand the situation, I said quietly. They exchanged confused glances. Mr. Halvorsen frowned deeply. Then help us understand, he said. His voice was strained. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick folder. My heart was beating fast now. I slid it slowly across the table toward him. He opened it with shaking hands. His expression changed slowly. First confusion. Then recognition. Then something else. Something that looked very much like fear. Real, raw fear. This, he said slowly, his voice shaking, this is not possible. It is, I replied very calmly, my voice steady and strong. Inside that folder was everything they needed to see. The legal documents. The ownership structure. The financial agreements. The quiet acquisition that had already happened. Not by them. By me. The company they thought they controlled. The company they tried to sell to someone else. The company they planned to destroy my division in. It was no longer theirs. It had not been for weeks. When your investors started pulling out, I stepped in, I said very gently. I bought the debt. Then I bought the controlling shares. James finally looked at me. His face had gone very pale. All the color had drained from his skin. How, he asked. How is this possible? I met his gaze directly, unflinching. Remember when you said I would land on my feet? He swallowed hard, his throat moving visibly. This is me landing, I said softly. This is exactly what I meant. The room felt smaller now. Tighter. Like the walls had moved closer to us. You walked out on me, I said in a calm voice. You made your choice that day. You decided who you were. You decided what you valued. You decided that humiliating me was more important than treating me with basic respect. Mr. Halvorsen's voice was strained and desperate. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. They blinked, confused by my answer. Nothing at all. Nothing, he repeated, like he could not understand the word. I do not want my old job, I said. I do not want your apologies. I do not want your money or your offers or your explanations. I do not want any of it. Then why, he started to ask. Because I wanted you to understand something very important, I said. I leaned forward slightly. For the first time in that meeting, they all paid complete attention. Fully. Completely. Like I finally mattered. Like I was finally worthy of their time. You thought I needed you, I said. You thought I was replaceable. You thought you could throw me away and I would disappear quietly. You were wrong. So very wrong about everything. I stood up slowly. No rush. No anger in my movements. Just certainty and quiet power. Your contracts will be reviewed carefully, I said. Some of you will stay. Some of you will not. Some of you will receive new positions at reduced salary. Some of you will receive nothing but a goodbye. No one argued. They could not argue. Because now I was the one in control. I walked to the door very slowly. I paused before leaving and turned back one last time. James was still staring at me. His face looked completely broken, like I had shattered something inside him. I did trust you, I said to him directly. I trusted you with my career. I trusted you with my dreams. His face tightened like I had hurt him physically with those words. I know, he whispered. His voice was barely audible. I nodded once slowly. Then I left. This is the truth about revenge. The greatest revenge is not screaming at the people who tried to humiliate you. It is not proving them wrong in a dramatic moment where everyone watches. It is quieter than that. Much quieter. It is colder. It is stronger. It is watching them slowly realize, piece by piece, moment by moment, that the power they thought they had was never really theirs at all. And that the woman they tried to dismiss and throw away. The woman they laughed about in their secret messages. The woman they thought was nothing. That woman now controls everything. That woman now controls them. That is the only power that truly matters.